You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning, it's June the 5th, and welcome to Psychedelics Cannabis Educational News. Good morning, Rev Cindy. How you doing?
Good morning, Al. I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
Doing all right. You know, it's I'm looking forward to the warmer weather. We just finally got some here, and hopefully the rest of the summer's good and warm, and the cold stuff is behind us now.
Fingers crossed. I see you are wearing a hat that we were talking about on Monday.
Yes, correct, exactly. I got my Campbellford lifestyle hat on, as you can see. I believe you can probably see that.
Yep.
It says it's where you get your bongs and dongs.
Yep. It's actually a pretty nice little store. You can also beyond getting your bongs and dongs, you can get poked by Shay in there.
Yes, you can. Exactly. We were talking about that before the show as well. So
Yeah.
Maybe you're gonna get poked by Shay.
Maybe I'm gonna get poked by Shay this summer. You never know.
You just never know. Because you're going to be traveling through the area. You'll be stopping here, having a quick, having a visit and whatever, and head on over to Campbellford and the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop and get yourself
poked by Shay.
Get poked by Shay, exactly. All right, anything new before we get into the news?
Oh, I have a big weekend of ceremonies here in my house, and that's pretty exciting. Spreading some healing and holding some space. I'm pretty thrilled.
Good. And one thing before we bring in the news, if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget, hit the like button, hit subscribe button, all that stuff. And other than that, here we go. First story of the day.
It is coming to us from International Cannabis Business Conference. Brazilian study finds cannabis to be an exit drug.
Excellent. I like headlines like that because so many people look at it as being an entry drug into,
they look at it as being a gateway drug, and it is a gateway, but it's not the gateway that we were taught it was. It's a gateway to healing. It's a gateway to happiness. It's a gateway to feeling better.
It's a gateway to recovery.
It is.
All right, here we go. Slide it down. Historically, cannabis policy modernization opponents have portrayed cannabis as a gateway drug. There you go. Claiming that the use of cannabis leads to the use of more harmful substances. The results of a recent study in Brazil suggests that cannabis may be effective at helping people reduce their use of more harmful substances. Now, according to the report, it says that researchers from the University of Brasilia have announced encouraging results in the use of CBD to treat people addicted to crack cocaine. There you go.
Yep. The study conducted at UNB revealed that the use of CBD was more effective in reducing crack consumption and side effects compared to medications traditionally used in alcohol and drug sociological care centers. For those facing the challenge of treating such complex conditions, the novelty represents a relief, both for health professionals and for patients and their families. This was reported. The results of the study in Brazil build on previously conducted international research involving other substances that arrived at similar conclusions. And just from a personal note, if it wasn't for cannabis, I wouldn't be sober.
There you go. Exactly. And when people know that, like myself, going into this, you try to avoid those things that you could get trapped by, such as opioids.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I lost where we were, but I'm going to start here. For example, a study conducted in early 2024 by a team of international researchers involving 2,697 subjects found that study participants reported that cannabis had a high degree of efficacy in alleviating their illness symptoms, and many reported a reduction in the use of prescription opioids, alcohol, tobacco, and other substances. Now, a study from earlier this year found that 60% of the surveyed patients reported reducing opioids since starting cannabis. A separate study conducted in 2024 found that the use of medical cannabis was associated with a lowering of the use of morphine.
Yeah, the systematic review summarized published literature on county level predictors of drug overdose mortality in the United States, measures related to cannabis dispensaries, substance use treatment, social capital, and proportions of family households was generally consistently associated with lower drug overdose mortality outcomes across multiple studies. This is stated by researchers who conducted a systematic review, of the county level predictors in 2022.
Yeah. And, this reports like this shows that the CSPs, those cannabis substitution programs that people, advocates are running across the country, can make a difference. Can help people.
They make a huge difference.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it was like, I was on 9 different prescription drugs, opiates being one of them, benzos being 2 others, and then there were, 6 more. And synthetic THC being one, which is highly addictive. Seroquel being one, which is even highly addictive. And one day somebody convinced me to try taking 50 milligrams a day, or 50 milligrams of cannabis twice a day. And said, just try it, Cindy, just try it. And so I said, okay. And I went home, and 3 days into it, I said, you know what? I don't think I need my painkillers anymore. I woke up and didn't take any of my prescriptions until the withdrawal symptoms hit me. And it was then that I realized that maybe I don't need them. And I found a healthy way to get off of them. And it took me 8 months. And I'll never go back.
Yeah.
So I'm walking, talking proof. And it makes me a little emotional to talk about it, but it's because it's so true. And cannabis really did save my life.
Correct. I have a friend that was addicted to heroin. And you, in the end, used cannabis in order to help get over the addiction. Yep. So, and I know I went the route of using cannabis before I went to the opioids.
Ah, smart man.
Yeah, and never had to deal with the addiction. So,
good. Yeah.
I didn't want to become a stat. So, death stat, unfortunately. All righty, move on to the next story, which is good news for people like myself, and that's because.
Coming to us from News Medical Life Sciences, transforming IBS treatment through psychedelic medicine.
Nice. In a comprehensive genomic press interview published today, Dr. Erin Mani reveals how her pioneering research brings psychedelic medicine into gastrology for the first time, potentially transforming treatment for millions suffering from IBS. Now, the assistant professor of pediatrics of Tufts University, who maintains a research appointment at Massachusetts General Hospital, leads the first clinical trial examining psilocybin's effects on treatment-resistant IBS. Her work addresses a critical gap in medicine, the substantial population of IBS patients who find no relief through conventional therapies.
Yeah. Dr. Mani's research explores how psilocybin modulates interoception, the way people perceive their body and gastrointestinal symptoms. The study protocol involves 2 doses of psilocybin with integrated therapy sessions before and after dosing, combined with neuroimaging via fMRI to track brain changes. I became very interested in the applicability of this emerging field of psychedelic-assisted medicine to patients who seem to be at war with their bodies, Dr. Mane explains in the interview. Her approach recognizes that many patients with severe, unexplained somatic symptoms have experienced significant trauma, particularly in early life.
The research emerges from Dr. Mani's observation that medicine, especially gastrology and obesity medicine, often fails to meaningfully understand and address the cumulative effects of toxic stress over the lifespan. This insight led her to investigate how early life trauma becomes semantically encoded and how psychedelic therapy might prove pathways for emotional release and functional improvement. Dr. Mani's journey into psychedelic research began during the pandemic when she read Michael Pollan's How to Change Your Mind while deciding to specialize in pediatric gastrology. Her background combines bacteriology research, including work on immune tolerance inducing bacteria, with clinical expertise in integration gastrology.
A setback that proved fortuitous occurred when Dr. Mane wasn't accepted to her top fellowship choice at Boston Children's Hospital. Instead, she matched at Massachusetts General Hospital, where she gained access to mentors, including Dr. Franklin King at the Center of the Neuroscience of Psychedelics, and Dr. Brad Kuo at the Center for Neurointestinal Health, connections that would prove instrumental in launching her psychedelic research program. The study's significance extends beyond IBS treatment. She hopes her work will help heal what she describes as the schism between mind and body that so many physicians practice within. This artificial separation has long hindered effective treatment for functional gastrointestinal disorders where psychological and physical symptoms intertwine.
Her research methodology combines quantitative measures, including patient-reported abdominal pain scores. Well, I can tell you sometimes it's really severe, with qualitative patient reflections and neuroimaging data. This multifaceted approach aims to capture both the subjective experience of healing and objective biological changes. Could this integration methodology become a model for studying other functional disorders where conventional treatments fall short? Well, Dr. Mani's current research focuses on adults. Her pediatric background deeply informs her perspective. She knows that witnessing inequality and injustice daily in pediatrics, particularly regarding childhood obesity, motivates her broader vision for medicine. Her interest in pediatric obesity prevention requires what she calls a full-scale realignment of society's priorities, including food subsidies, urban design, educational approaches, and technology's impact on childhood.
This systematic thinking raises important questions. How might early intervention with trauma-informed approaches prevent development of chronic functional disorders? What role could psychedelic therapy eventually play in addressing treatment-resistant conditions across the lifespan? The interview reveals how Dr. Mane's personal values influence her research approach. She emphasizes cultivating honest, genuine relationships with each person you work with, and creating environments where people can bring their whole selves to work. Her motto, "We are what we repeatedly do," reflects her commitment to meticulous, persistent research that prioritizes patients' well-being.
When asked about her greatest passion, Dr. Mani responds, restoring humanity to the practice of medicine. This philosophy permeates her recent research design, which treats patients as whole persons rather than collections of symptoms. Her approach suggests a paradigm shift in how we conceptualize and treat functional disorders, moving from symptom suppression to addressing root causes, including psychological trauma. Now, Dr. Mani's research aims not to prove efficacy, but to develop scalable therapeutic options. She envisions optimizing psychedelic therapy protocols to make them accessible in clinical settings, potentially offering hope to millions of IBS patients worldwide who have exhausted conventional treatment options.
The timing of this research is particularly significant as psychedelic medicine gains mainstream acceptance, with multiple psychedelic compounds in late-stage clinical trials for various conditions. Dr. Mane's work positions gastroenterology at the forefront of this therapeutic revolution. What other specialty areas might benefit from similar innovative approaches to treatment-resistant conditions? Dr. Mane's Geonomic Press interview is part of a larger scale series called Innovators and Ideas that highlights the people behind today's most influential scientific breakthroughs. Each interview in the series offers a blend of cutting-edge research and personal reflections, providing readers with a comprehensive view of these scientists shaping the future. By combining a focus on professional achievements with personal insights, this interview style invites a richer narrative that both engages and educates readers. And it just goes on to talk more about the style of the interview.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good. You know, it's at the start. It's early on, right? So
Yep.
see what happens down the road. I know I will keep an eye out for that, just so you know.
Me too.
Good morning, Shadow. How you doing?
Well, didn't we just like say that at the perfect timing? That was awesome. I kind of liked that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We're gonna move on to the next story, which is, you know,
Interesting.
discoveries all the time. Discoveries all the time just seem to happen, and it's gonna be jumpy, just so you know. So here we go.
Okay, coming to us from MSN. Student finds the psychedelic fungus inventor of LSD spent his life searching for.
Nice. There we go. We're jumping. It started with a seed coat and a little fuzz. At West Virginia University, Corrine Hazel, an undergraduate major in environmental microbiology, examined morning glory plants for signs of protective chemicals. She wasn't looking for new drugs or anything psychedelic, but nestled in the folds of a tiny seed coat was a hint of white fuzz.
Ooh.
That fuzz, yeah, what you think is a pocket lint? That fuzz turned out to be a fungus that scientists have been seeking since the 1930s, and this included Albert Hofmann, the Swiss chemist who first synthesized LSD.
Hofmann offered the world LSD in the late 1930s by modifying a compound called listuric acid, which he extracted from the ergot fungus, Claviceps purpurea. The fungus grows on rye and other grains. It's actually well known for growing on corn. And is well known for producing ergot alkaloids, a group of chemicals that can be toxic or medicinal depending on the dose. However, Hofmann also suspected that morning glory plants contain similar compounds. He believed there might be a hidden fungus living in the symbiosis with these plants, one that was responsible for producing those LSD-like chemicals. But that fungus was never found until now.
Yeah, I'm thinking morning glory teas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember hearing something about morning glories and getting buzzes from them, but that was about it. So now we see why. Okay. However, Hoffman also suspected that morning glory plants contain similar compounds. Did you read that already?
Yeah, we're down to I'm lucky.
Oh, I'm lucky to have stumbled into this opportunity. Hazel said, people have been looking for this fungus for years, and one day I look at the right place, and there it is. They've got a name for it. She named it Paraglandola clandestina. A nod
That sounds great.
secret. Yeah. A nod to its secretive nature. There she is, right there.
Yeah. In the decades after he discovered LSD, Hofmann suspected that morning glory plants owed their psychedelic properties to a fungus, one that made chemicals similar to the one he had modified. Morning glories contain high concentrations of similar listuric acid derivatives that give them psychedelic activity, said Daniel Pensioni, who's Hazel's faculty mentor and a professor at WVU's Davis College of Agriculture and Natural Resources.
In a previous study published in Communications Biology, scientists reported 53 of the 210 morning glory species they tested had ergot-containing seeds. So that's a quarter of them, basically. Hoffman and others researched the plants for fungus related to Claviceps purpurea, the rye-dwelling microbe that produces ergot alkaloids, a group of potent compounds with powerful biological effects. But for decades, that fungus remained a phantom.
and Hazel found it almost by accident. We had a ton of plants lying around, and they had these tiny little seed coats. She said, we noticed a little bit of fuzz on the seed coat. That was our fungus.
Wow. That's all it took, eh? With Panacene's guidance, Hazel extracted DNA from the fuzz and sent it for sequencing. The results confirmed that generations of chemists and botanists had only suspected the morning glory harbored a previously unknown species of ergot producing fungus. Sequencing a genome is a significant thing. Panacena said it's amazing for a student.
Really, right? She's now kind of set her career. You know,
Right. Like, look at it. She even looks like even like a high school student. She doesn't look very old.
no, she's just a student. Look at the excitement in both of their faces. It's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
And she
I
got
mean,
to
this
name
plant.
it.
Yeah, this doesn't just solve a historical mystery. It might help shape the future of medicine. Ergot alkaloids are biologically powerful and deeply complex. In high doses, they're toxic to humans and livestock, but when refined or altered, they've been used to treat migraines, control bleeding, and manage neurological conditions like Parkinson's disease.
Many things are toxic, but if you administer them in the right dosage or modify them, they can be useful pharmaceuticals, says Panacene. But studying them, we may be able to figure out ways to bypass the side effects.
Mm-hmm.
And Hazel's fungus might be especially good at this. Early evidence suggests that it can produce ergot alkaloids effectively, or whatever, and large quantities that could one day make it valuable for drug treatments.
Yeah. Hazel is now focused on cultivating the slow-growing microbe and exploring whether related fungal symbionts hide within other morning glory species. There could be a whole underground world of psychedelic-producing fungi waiting to be uncovered. For now, though, she's taken a moment to reflect on how much came from a chance observation.
I'm very proud of the work I've done at WVU, she says, and they agree.
Yeah.
Oh, where did it go? It just jumped.
The school
I lost
agrees.
it.
It's about students recognizing the opportunities, seizing them, and having the skill and the brain power to bring this work to fruition. And sometimes all it takes is a little fuzz. And that's it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Just takes a little fuzz sometimes, and you just never know what you're going to find, right?
That's right.
All righty. Last story before we go to break is coming up. And here we go.
Here we go. Excellent. Coming to us from the CBC. Tom Longboat run canceled by Six Nations after family decrees local cannabis industry.
Yeah. The Tom Longboat Run, hosted annually by Six Nations of the Grand River near Brantford, Ontario since 1999, has been canceled after the family spoke out against the First Nations cannabis industry. Brian Winnie, a grandson of the famed
Runner.
the runner, who died in 1949, published a statement on a family blog saying immediate family would not participate in today's event as a direct result of the societal catastrophe that is the cannabis industry on Six Nations land.
According to Winnie, the Six Nations elected band council is responsible for the death, drugs, overdoses, organized crime, human sex trafficking, and other types of related crimes now occurring on Six Nations territory as a result of the cannabis industry. He wrote the family would no longer participate in, endorse, or allow the use of the Longboat's name in connection with any activities sponsored by any band council, not just limited to Six Nations.
Wow. Failure to observe this ban will show the complete disregard and lack of understanding of who exactly Tom Longboat was and what his message is. Rennie was contacted by CBC KW, which will be interviewed for this article, but he declined. saying the statement speaks for itself.
CBCKW also reached out to Six Nations Band Council for comment, but did not receive a response. A statement posted on the SNGR's Facebook page says the event was cancelled out of respect for the family's position and statement.
The statement also says efforts are being made to revive the event for next year, with focus on highlighting the collective achievements of community athletes. Controversy surrounding Six Nations cannabis industry has been circling after a recent grow operation popped up near the downtown core, distressing some residents.
Nancy Porter, one of those residents, said at least 55 greenhouses have been erected behind her generations-old home over the past few months. While the farms are private, they do have council oversight through the Six Nations Cannabis Commission.
The run is held annually to memorialize Longboat, who was born on Six Nations in 1887. Growing up, Longboat had been sent to the Mohawk Institute Residential School. He escaped from the institute twice by running away.
Wow, more than 150,000 First Nations, Métis, and Inuit children were forced to attend about 140 federally funded residential schools in Canada between the 1870s and 1997, when the last one closed. But it is still up. It's still standing. It's still up and running as a school.
I can't believe it was that long, to 1997.
97. Yeah, my
Wow.
mother actually attended the school that is still standing in Corner Brook, Newfoundland. The schools aim to strip away their culture and language, and reports of widespread abuse have been documented.
1997. Wow.
1997, it closed, yep.
Yeah, Longboat's first notable competitive running achievement was in 1907 when he won the Boston Marathon. In 1916, he volunteered for the First World War and served as a message runner in Europe. At one point, he was erroneously reported killed in action.
Upon returning to Canada, Longboat worked in Toronto for 20 years and was married to Martha. Together, they had 4 children. The couple moved back to Six Nations before his death.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not happy down in Six Nations. I've seen some reports about some stuff going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Okay. Well, other than that, it's time for us to take a break. And when we get back from break, we'll continue with 4 more stories. Let's see what we got, including how they're talking about how they can make different strains that are coming up with some genodes. We're talking about some mushroom stuff going on as well. So We'll see all that when we get back. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. We're live here at paceradio.net and 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor? If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Rerolled Saturdays. Check it out. Nothing but non-stop cannabis and psychedelic programming. Find it at 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
All right, we're back from our break. We've got, as I said, 4 more stories to cover to finish things off. Here we go. Number 1.
Here we go. Coming to us from McKnight's long-term care news. So it's coming from long-term care news.
Right.
Current marijuana use among seniors hits a new high, requiring skilled nursing adaptations.
Nice. Marijuana use among U.S. seniors has reached a new high, with 7% of adults aged 65 and over reporting they used cannabis in the past month, according to analysis published by JAMA International Medicine today. The findings reflect the changing of profile of an American cannabis user, with pronounced increase in use by older adults who are college-educated, married, female, and have higher incomes.
They could also cast a haze over clinical and legal operations at nursing homes as patients' reliance on medical cannabis and expectations of post-acute settings change, warns corresponding author Benjamin Hahn, who's an MD with the Division of Geriatrics, Gerontology, and Palliative Care at U of C in San Diego. Use of cannabis in long-term care settings is complicated, partly because cannabis remains a Schedule 1 drug, although CBD products with concentrations of THC of less than 0.3% are no longer considered scheduled, which is kind of cool, but still, it's only the first step. He told McKnight's Long Care News list past Thursday, noting that only some states have passed laws allowing SNFs to provide medical cannabis. The main implication might be that as more older adults are using cannabis in the community, they might expect to still be able to use it if they do need long-term care, which may be complicated.
Yeah, most Americans now live in places where cannabis is legalized, either medicinally or recreationally. Now, for the research letter published today, a team led by the Center for Drug Use and HIV/HCV Research at the NYU School of Global Public Health examined data from the National Survey on Drug Use and Health from 2021 through 2023. Respondents 65 and older were asked about cannabis use over the past month, which was defined as current use.
Yeah, our study shows that cannabis use among older adults continues to increase, although there have been major shifts in use according to demographic and socioeconomic factors. This is coming from senior author Joel Palmer. Han said the study marks the first time researchers could examine current use in this age group. Previously, the pool of recent users was too small, and scientists typically relied on a measure of use in the past year.
The new 7% mark in 2023 is up from 4.8% in 2021 and 5.2% in 2022, a nearly 46% increase in only 2 years. Now, according to Hahn, he says, if we look even further back to 2026 and 2007, less than 1% of older adults has used cannabis in the past year.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
previous study showed that current cannabis use among older veterans is even higher.
Yeah.
Skilled nursing providers have to start acknowledging the changing patterns and figure out which parents might be using, or which patients, I said parents, but I'm sure it's patients, might be using, and how that could affect their healthcare needs and potential treatments. Hahn added in an email to McKnight's.
That starts with talking to patients and their families at admission. Generally, technicians should consider screening all patients for use of any psychoactive substance using verbal or self-administered screening tools, Han says, pointing to the tools such as those developed by the National Institute on Drug Use.
I can't wait till I end up in a nursing home. Yeah, I just want to bring my iboga and my 5-MeO. Importantly, the researchers found significant increases in cannabis use among older adults who have multiple chronic conditions, including heart issues, diabetes, hypertension, cancer, and chronic pulmonary obstructive diseases. The authors caution that the overall increases may be driven in part by those who use cannabis aging into the 65 plus age bracket for the period studied. Regardless, they recommended that clinicians screen and educate their older patients about cannabis use, including how physiological changes that accompany aging can make people more sensitive to psychoactive substances.
Hans says there could be an increase in problematic cannabis use or cannabis use disorder among older Americans, especially those with a history of other substance use disorders. Didn't we just have a report earlier about how cannabis is helping with those? Now, but he said it's important immediately to tackle cannabis use as a health issue when talking with nursing home patients with their families. He said he worries about smoking cannabis for anyone with chronic lung disease, noting that possible association of cannabis use and adverse cardiovascular outcomes, and suggested that patients with cardiovascular disease may want to consider not using cannabis.
Cannabis can also interact with a range of medications that could increase the risk of side effects or oversedation, he added. It is important to explore the reasons for using cannabis. What are the potential benefits versus the potential harms or risks in the context of the patient's health goals?
Yeah, there you go.
Interesting.
I'm not surprised because of the fact that you got to look, the 60s, 70s, the coming out of all that stuff, they were young people. They're now older.
Yeah, I mean, the 65 to 70 age range right now are really our first big, loud activists.
Yeah.
They're the ones that saw, their parents were kind of shoving the reefer madness down their throat, and they were like, yeah, right. And, so yeah, I find it interesting, some of the backwards information in that particular story. But I think the nursing homes are about to be in for a bit of a fight. Because like I said, this is the first round of really loud cannabis activists that are heading into the nursing homes now. There's a second round coming in, by the time I get there, it's going to be like, I don't just want my cannabis. Seriously, I'm bringing my mushrooms, I'm bringing my LSD, I'm bringing my 5-MeO. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
It's your medicine.
Yeah.
I'm 64 here in another month, so I'm not that far from being that. I'm already getting my senior discount at places, right? So just never know. All right, we'll move on to the next story. Here we go.
Coming to us from Marijuana Moment, scientists find 33 genetic markers in cannabis that can be targeted to breed enhanced strains tailored for medical and recreational uses.
No. Scientists report that they have identified 33 significant markers in the cannabis genome that significantly influence cannabinoid production, a finding they say promises to drive the development of new plant varieties with specific cannabinoid profiles. The new article.
Need more strains.
Yeah, we need more strains. But what maybe this might allow is for targeting certain things.
Yep.
To increase, for example, CBG in a plant. Stuff like that. And the new article published last month in the journal The Plant Genome says the results offering valuable guidance for cannabis breeding programs, enabling the use of precise genetic markers to select and refine promising cannabis varieties.
This approach promises to speed up the breeding process, reduce costs significantly compared to traditional methods, and ensure that the resulting cannabis varieties are optimized for specific medical and recreational needs, authors wrote. They call the study a significant stride towards fully integrating cannabis into modern agricultural practices and genetic research, paving the way for future innovations. Wow, they come up with long names for these studies. The analysis involved use of a high-density genotyping approach, looking at thousands of molecular markers across the genome of 174 cannabis specimens here in Canada, each with known levels of cannabinoids such as THCA, CBDA, and CBN.
Using suitable statistical methods, the team said, we identified 33 molecule markers associated with 11 cannabinoid traits, most of them having a high impact on the phenotype. Among the findings were what the paper calls a massive set of genes on one plant chromosome that involved about 60 megabases and was associated specifically with THC-dominant cannabis strains.
Interesting. Authors from the University of Laval in Quebec, Canada, said the research represents a shift away from years of cannabis prohibition that have impeded the establishment of genetic resource collections and the development of advanced breeding practices, thus limiting both the genetic improvement and the understanding of cannabis traits. The markers uncovered in the new study will constitute an essential tool in breeding programs, the report says, promise to accelerate the selection process for promising extensions, potential crossing parents, while significantly reducing costs associated with labor-intensive phenotype-based selection methods.
The new findings come on the heels of a recent announcement by researchers in South Korea that they successfully identified a new cannabinoid, cannabidiol-soxa, as well as a number of other compounds reported for the first time from the flowers of the sativa, which C sativa. We had a sativa L or something in the patients when we first got our cannabis. Published in the Journal of Pharmaceuticals, the paper says researchers use chromatographic techniques to isolate the compounds. They also examine their molecular structures and use metabolic testing method to assess their toxicity to certain cancer cells.
Bitdefender has decided I'm not allowed to see this anymore.
Oh, really? Oh, that's too bad. Okay, I'll read a little bit more. The study successfully isolated a new cannabinoid and 6 known cannabinoid compounds, along with new chlorotype compound and 3 additional chlorine type compounds, the study says, which reported for the first time from the cannabis flowers. The new cannabinoid cannabiloxa was not among the compounds that researchers identified as a potential toxic to neuroblastoma cells, however, which is a brain cancer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, other research published by the American Chemical Society in 2023 identified previously undiscovered cannabis compounds that challenged conventional wisdom of what really gives cannabis varieties their unique olfactory profiles. While researchers into cannabis have exploded in recent years as a result of more jurisdictions legalizing the use of for medical use and adult use, it's unclear how the Trump administration priorities will impact their trend. And the story goes on. It's always so. There you go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that interesting that all of a sudden Bitdefender said I couldn't see that story?
Yeah. Why? I wonder why. This doesn't make sense. Yeah. Hi, Glenda. Thanks for the like. Okay, we'll move on. We'll move on to the next story, and I just got to get it loaded up. A little bit behind there. It's been one of those mornings. All right, here we go.
Coming to us from the Marijuana Herald, the Maine Senate passes psilocybin decriminalization bill, sending it to governor.
Wow, really, eh? House Bill 1034 removes criminal penalties for adults 21 and older who possess up to 1 gram of psilocybin or 1 ounce of psilocybin-containing mushrooms. The legislation does not authorize a legal market or regulated access, but focuses solely on eliminating criminal consequences for personal possession. It was given approval on Monday by the House in a narrow 70 to 69 vote. Wow, you can't get much closer than that, can you? Supporters of the bill point to growing scientific evidence suggesting psilocybin may help treat conditions such as depression, anxiety, and PTSD. The move reflects a broader national trend towards loosening restrictions on psychedelics. Oregon and Colorado have already enacted wider reforms, while cities across the country have implemented local decriminalization measures. Other states, such as New Mexico, are also considering medical use frameworks.
Amazing. With approval from both chambers of the legislature, the bill will soon be sent to Governor Janet Mills for a decision.
There you go.
70 to 69. Holy
Yeah.
cow.
Yeah, that's you can't get much closer to that, can you?
No.
Jeez. And that means, who knows that if there's something that's really going bad, that someone could reintroduce another bill to change things. And that vote being that close, it could end up being a bad result down the road, right? So
You never know. We'll have to watch and see.
that's right. That's right. Okie dokie. Here we go. Last story of the day.
It is coming to us.
Mosquito,
Ooh, my
sorry.
goodness. It's coming to us from Nasaga, Ontario local news.
Yeah.
Arson at a magic mushroom dispensary under investigation in Hamilton.
Oh. Arson investigators are looking into a fire that broke out at a magic mushroom dispensary in Hamilton. The blaze, it's jumping around. Where'd it go? The blaze started at the Shroonies Magic Mushroom Dispensary on Main Street East around 3:45 a.m. on Friday, the Hamilton Police Services says.
Yeah, that's when a car pulled up and two suspects exited the vehicle before breaking into the shop, police say. And shortly after, a fire erupted from the dispensary, and the suspects returned to the vehicle, fleeing northbound on Wexford Avenue North.
Police are asking anyone with information about the fire or the identity of the suspects to give them a call.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
they're
suspects are
described
described as younger males with average height and thin build.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then it
wearing
was
dark-colored hoodies with hoods.
Yeah, and it was
Go
a
ahead.
newer model, dark blue Malibu that they were driving. So yeah,
All right. Yeah, there you go.
there we go.
That one was a little jumpy.
It was a lot jumpy.
All right, so there you go. Unfortunately, fire at a mushroom dispensary. What do you think? Why? Got any thoughts? Why would somebody drive? It wasn't a fire that was caused by something that was happening inside there. These people actually deliberately did this. It wasn't just an accidental fire.
Yeah, I mean, like it makes me wonder, like, because right now, like, there's a lot of, like, I mean, it's 2017, except for it's mushrooms instead of cannabis, and I'm sad to say that back when cannabis was first becoming legal, a lot of these places that were getting shut down and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, like, there were a couple of fires that were set so people could get some insurance money and not lose their whole hats, right?
Yeah, because
and I'm wondering, I'm not saying it is, but like it's a really good possibility.
And it could be somebody who wants them out of the neighborhood.
It could be somebody. It could be a rival that decided they wanted to break in and get rid of their competition. It could be somebody that hates the idea of magic mushrooms being there. Like, I mean, there's again, it's one that I'd like to watch because I wouldn't mind, seeing what the police find out when they find it out.
Yeah, because fungi and shroomies have been in the news a lot, right?
A lot.
Yeah, so somebody went at him for a reason, obviously. So
I think so.
All right, that's it for today. Anything else you want to mention before we say goodbye?
I don't think so. I have a great weekend, folks. Thanks for joining us.
All right, that's it. That's the news for today. We hope you found it educational and informative. Thanks to Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, At-Eze.ca, and Limestone City Hydroponics.ca, and to our viewers. And as always, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not cursorate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own. and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.